This is Pixelated Zen presents the Neverwinter Foundry Debrief, where we go through the Neverwinter Foundry and we review the good and the bad for your enjoyment and edification. Today's quest is Dirty Politics by Shorelong. This is the first in a 10-part saga, though as of this review, not all 10 quests have been published. The basics behind the quest is that a high-ranking official in Neverwinter wants you to look into one of his political opponents, as he feels that this particular noble might be part of an evil organization called the Dark Creed. But first, the stats. Version 1.03. Players 1 to 2, maybe more. Combat high. Dialogue medium. This quest is the first in a 10-part saga, like I said, and as such, its purpose is mainly to set up the situation, the villain, and some of the main players. You immediately get a feeling for the gentleman who hired you, and you meet a group of mercenaries that he's hired to work alongside you and do the same thing. It's a great setup, kind of like a rivalrous feeling, but nothing is done with it. Granted, as the entry quest, that is to be expected. That's the main problem that I had, though. It's supposed to be setting up the story and the characters, but it barely does that. For instance, you only see the main villain at the very end, and it never really feels like he's a threat or like a villain I particularly want to take down, which is a feeling you want the player to have when they see the villain of an epic saga. Still, there is time to build up that animosity in subsequent quests. The combat in Dirty Politics isn't anything particularly special, but it's in no way bad. You start out making your way through the sewers and you fight some generic kobolds, and there are packs of minion level kobolds for you to AoE slaughter in there. It does feel pretty good, but it's nothing special like I said. Afterward, you end up in Black Lake for what feels like no reason. You just walk straight to a building and enter it. I understand that the building is supposed to be in Black Lake, and it might become important for future quests, but it added loading times that simply didn't need to be there since you just go underground again almost immediately. The combat in the enemy underground is fun, but there weren't any oh snap moments in the story department or the combat department. A good mini-boss fight would have really helped break up the normal combat, especially if the character had been given a little bit of build-up beforehand. Now, I know it sounds like I'm being particularly harsh on this quest, and I suppose in a way I am, but there's a very good reason for that. It was announced as the first part in an epic saga, and I can see so much potential here. There were several things that were hinted at, potentially as a setup for the future quests, but I wish more dialogue had been added to cement the characters and the story to get me immersed in this. I mean, if I'm going to be playing at least 10 quests in the series, I need a great hook to keep me going. That said, the quest is enjoyable. The setup could have been better in some ways, but what is there is good. The combat isn't the most interesting, but there are several types of enemies, and the final underground area even has alternate mini-quests for you to participate in. Really, it's mostly just saving people, but it's still a nice touch. Setting-wise, the quest is a mixed bag. The building with the noble who hired you is well decorated and interesting, but the back room leading to the sewers is just a barren wasteland. They know that kobolds are infesting these sewers and that this hatch leads right to them. Some barricades or guards or something along those lines would not have been amiss. Still, what's the final verdict? 3 stars. Keep in mind that on my scale, 3 stars is in no way bad. It's just something that didn't stand out to me as especially good. The potential here is flat out amazing, but we'll have to see if they can realize that potential. Still, I had fun with the quest and it did intrigue me for the follow-ups, so as an entry it definitely did its job, and I recommend it to anyone who's looking to begin an epic saga in the Foundry. Alright, this is the time where you click the things. Let's see, we got a sub button, we got a like button, some video buttons, and a button. Don't click the button, but do click the other ones. You know you want to. You'll regret it if you don't. Trust me. I'm awesome, you're awesome, you'll be awesomer if you click the buttons. Just click the buttons. Trust me.